Welcome to Philosophy of Action. Today I want to talk about a problem that we have all been considering to a certain extent: why people are lonely nowadays. More specifically, why we lost community. And I think the answer is actually quite simple. It's not mysterious, it's not just phones are bad or people are selfish now or modern dating is broken, although those things do matter. The deeper reason is that we slowly reorganized society in a way that physically separates people from the humans they are supposed to bond with. And once you understand that, loneliness becomes an obvious consequence. Here is the basic assumption: the strength of a human bond is largely determined by how often people are physically around each other, especially when that relationship is positive, or at least positive ish. Not perfectly positive, not ideal, just repeated presence, repeated interaction, and repeated shared life. You build bonds with people you see, work with, eat with, suffer with, help, need, and spend time around. Now compare that to how humans lived for most of history. In hunter-gatherer society, the family and community were basically together all the time. A father or mother could take the son or daughter on hunting or gathering trips. The family was embedded in the wider group. The village, tribe, clan, whatever you want to call it, was not an abstract identity. It was the people physically around you every day. You saw your parents, you saw your siblings, you saw the other families. You saw the elders, you saw the people who hunted, gathered, cooked, cared, repaired, taught, watched, and protected. Community was not something you scheduled after work. Community was the water you swam in. Then moved to the agricultural age. Again, life was hard, often brutal, and I'm not pretending it was a paradise, but the household, work, family, and community were still deeply tied together. The child helped the father in the field, the mother worked in and around the home, producing, caring, repairing, processing, helping with lighter physical labor, medical care, and household economic duties. And when needed, everyone helped. Men worked, women worked, children worked, the household itself was an economic unit. This is important. Women have basically always worked throughout history. The idea that women started working in modernity is mostly nonsense. What changed is not that women began working, what changed is that work moved out of the household and away from the family. In older societies, men, women, and children were often part of the same productive world. They saw each other work, they depended on each other directly. The family was not just an emotional unit, it was a working unit. Even in early cities, with artisans, workshops, traders, small manufacturing, local clients, and guild like structures, people often still lived near their work. The workshop was close, the clients were close, the apprentices were close, the family could see the work that they were doing. The wife could visit, the children could learn. The neighborhood was also a productive environment. So even when society became more urban, community still had a physical base. Then industrialization cracked this apart. First, the man leaves. He goes to the factory. Maybe it is in a corner of the city. Maybe it's across the city. Later, maybe it's an hour away or 2 hours away. He leaves the household, works somewhere else for 8, 10, 12 hours, and then comes back tired. His son does not see him work. His daughter does not see him work. His wife generally does not participate in that world. The father becomes someone who disappears for the best hours of the day and comes home when most of his energy has already been spent somewhere else. And yes, men leaving for war, trade, or sea voyages existed before, but that was not the normal structure of everyone's daily life. Industrial society made separation ordinary. Then child labor laws and compulsory schooling separated the children from their family as well. Now the child cannot work with the parent. The child is exported to school for hours every day. The child's main social world becomes other children and state-approved adults. Maybe that creates a peer community, sure, but it also means that the child is no longer deeply embedded in the productive life of the household and the society at large. The child does not really see the father work, it does not really see its mother work. The child sees school. Then later, modern feminism and modern labor markets push the mother out of the household as well. Again, not because women never worked before, they did. The difference is that now mother's work is also outside the household, outside the neighborhood, and outside the direct family economy. So now, what is the modern household? The father leaves, the mother leaves, the child leaves. Every member of the household is exported to different institutions. The father goes to one workplace, the mother goes to another workplace, the child goes to school, the grandparents are somewhere else. The neighbors are also gone because their households are doing the same thing. And then everyone comes home exhausted and wonders why there is no community. The modern household does not live together, and the modern community does not live together. It sleeps together. That is the difference. During the day, the family is not a shared productive unit. It is a set of individuals temporarily assigned to different institutions, reunited at night when everyone is tired, overstimulated, and half dead from commuting, work, school, bureaucracy, screens, and stress. And this does not just destroy the household, it destroys the neighborhood. Because if everyone leaves the neighborhood during the day, then the neighborhood stops being a community. It becomes a storage facility for sleeping bodies. You do not know your neighbors because you do not do anything with them. You do not farm with them. You do not repair with them. You do not trade with them. You do not raise children together in a serious way. You do not defend the place together. You do not worship together. You do not work together. You do not live near each other anymore. And living near someone is not the same as living with them. That is why loneliness is not a mystery. We separated work from home, children from families, neighbors from production, and belief from community, and then wonder why nobody knows anyone. And because people still need belonging, they search for replacements. They find subcultures, online communities, fandoms, politics, entertainment, dating apps, parasocial relationships, ideological tribes, gaming groups, influences, digital friend simulations. Some of these are not bad, but they are often replacements for something more basic and necessary. People are trying to simulate the community because they no longer physically live inside of one. And this is also why the collapse of the church matters. Whether you are religious or not, the church was one of the last institutions that still forced the community into physical existence together. Every week, people gathered. They saw the same faces, they shared the same belief, they had rituals, they had obligations, they had births, marriages, deaths, charity, shame, forgiveness, gossip, hierarchy, and belonging. The church is not just belief, it's a social infrastructure. And as religion declines, that last pillar also falls away. Now, maybe mass religious return is not realistic, maybe it's not actionable. Maybe people are not simply going back to believing again because loneliness is bad. Fine. But then we need to understand what was lost. We did not just lose God, we lost a weekly village, we lost a recurring physical gathering, we lost a structure that made people see each other, help each other, judge each other, forgive each other, and belong with each other. So, what is the solution? I'm not telling people to make friends, that's stupid. You cannot solve a structural problem with individual self help advice. The problem is that modern life is designed to fragment people. So, the solution has to be structural too. We need to rebuild community around proximity. Not primarily politics, not ideology, not some abstract internet identity, but people you actually live near. People whose children go to the same place. The people who share your streets, parks, buildings, schools, shops, church, clubs, sports fields, public spaces, and a real community has to be based on repeated physical presence. And this is where work from home is actually interesting. For the first time in a long time, modern technology might allow productive lives to move back closer to the household and the neighborhood. If people are home more often, if parents see children more often, if neighbors are physically present during the day, if local clubs and public spaces actually become used again, then maybe community can partly return. But only if we choose it. If work from home just means sitting around in your room, ordering food, watching Netflix, and never speaking to anyone, then it changes nothing. The opportunity is not remote work. The opportunity is rebuilding local life, local work, local parenting, local clubs, local duties, local gatherings, local worship if possible, local service, local production, local responsibility. Because humans are not meant to be abstract individuals floating between institutions. We are meant to belong to a place, to a people, to a household, to a community. And for most of history, that was not an emotional luxury, it was just how life worked. You lived with people, worked with people, depended on people, and therefore bonded with people. Modern society broke that chain and that evolutionary logic, and now everyone is lonely. Anyway, have a good day and try to connect with your local neighbors and community.